So good morning. We're here in Dallas, and we have the pleasure of speaking today to a running candidate. Her name is Lauren Davis, and she's running for county judge. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much for being here.
No, it's our pleasure. Ms. Davis, can you tell us a little bit why you decided to run for this office and what your role will be in the community here in Dallas if you get elected?
Yes, so I ran because I was tired of government infringing on my life, just being in my life in a way that I had never seen before. The pandemic time frame really woke me up to just where we're at as a country. My husband and I are small business owners. We own barber shops, and so we were deemed non-essential. And so we had the police show up to one of our locations. They closed the doors for taking business license.
Wow.
So that was just a life-changing moment. And then I have two kids who have health conditions. One being a congenital heart defect. My son had 3 open heart surgeries. So the medical mandates directly impact his ability in life. You know, he's not really a candidate to become vaccinated against COVID-19. And that's because of his heart condition and myocarditis can affect him. So now as a mom, I have to worry about his ability to go to college or get a job opportunity or lose a job opportunity. And so I just didn't agree with the way the world was going.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, I'm going to do something about it. I'm not going to just complain. And so I stepped up to run for Dallas County Judge because they're directly over public health and these types of policies in the county.
Okay, but for our audience, it's very interesting what we're speaking a minute ago. People might think that a county judge is actually a judge who sits on a bench in a courtroom and, make rulings, but this is not the case here in Dallas County. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so a Dallas County judge is much like a CEO.
Okay.
And the commissioner's court is like a board of directors.
Okay.
So look at it like a business organization. You have your leadership CEO, and then you have 4 commissioners, and you're one of 5 on voting.
Okay.
You know, it takes 3 to hire, 3 votes to hire, 4 to fire on your big positions.
Okay.
And then you have many employees. The county has 6,000 employees. 1 in every 50 employed American is a county worker across the nation.
Okay.
So look at them like a massive employer, and they're over really important parts of our society, like the running of our elections. There's IT, human resources, Office of Budget and Evaluation, over the Sheriff's Department, the court systems, and public health, which in Dallas County is Parkland Hospital. They set a county tax rate, a hospital district tax rate. So it's all very high level executive skill set. And so you don't need to be an attorney, but that's all we've really ever had in Dallas County. And we really need someone who can, lead as a private business CEO would lead.
I see. Talking about mass mandates and public health issues here in Dallas, how did your opponent, the county judge, handle all those issues during the pandemic, and what are you proposing that is going to be so different for this community of residents?
Yes, so he was my Principal Jenkins, and he went directly to controlling people's lives. He didn't believe, and I know that based on his actions, right? I haven't had a conversation with them, but based on his actions that we could self-govern or assess our own risk. And that's what mandates are, right? They're saying to you as an individual American, you cannot assess your own risk. I, the government, know better. And I don't subscribe to that. And my core biblical worldview and beliefs, I believe the only person who controls our outcomes is God. Mm-hmm. That's the only person. And so man doesn't belong in that place. And so the role of government as it relates to public health and how we do things different is that my job is solely to gather all the data and do everything I can within my power to get that to the people so they have every choice and every option to protect themselves and their family. Right. Because my family represents the unintended consequences of mandates. It directly impacts them negatively to have a mask on their face for 8 hours a day. So that has to be considered, and parents and our individual selves are the best assessor of that risk.
I see. Is there is crime is soaring across the nation. Here in Texas, you guys are dealing with mass migration and all the human trafficking that is happening at the southern border to people are coming here to Dallas. I'm an immigration attorney myself, and I have clients here in Dallas. As a county judge, how do you control the amount of resources that are going to be destined to illegal immigrants and also to basically abolish law and order, abolish ICE? That's the main campaign. I think that's insane, but I want to know your position on that.
Yes, my position on it is we must have law and order, and our sheriff's department, police departments, right, the counties over the sheriff's departments, that's where the control is, and the county jail, which all the cities, there's 31 cities in Dallas County, use the county jail. And so that interacts a lot with the immigration issues and law and order, and it has to be funded, and it has to be fully working at an exceptional level so that people get swift justice, which is fair justice when it's swift and in a timely manner. And that's not happening right now. So people, whether they're immigrants or everyday citizens, interacting with law enforcement, they are getting stuck in a system that's not working. It's starting to break down, and that's where you see crime rising and lawlessness. My opponent supported the defunding of police. He doesn't focus on and equip our sheriff's department to serve at their capacity, their greatest, potential and capacity. And when that is the case, people make mistakes. We're humans, we make mistakes. And so when our sheriff's department doesn't have the resources, it opens us up to them being overly tired, maybe not doing their best job. So it's on the leaders to ensure that those departments, our sheriffs, our police officers, our ICE officers, are the line between chaos and order. And so it has to be fully funded and taken care of. It should be like the top priority. And so it's a top priority for me. And that also helps people who interact with the system be processed and rehabilitated in certain circumstances in a much better way. So it's good for everyone, even if people breaking the laws. It's good for them to have a well-run, well-funded, and well-trained
system.
Yes, less room for error, greater chance at better outcomes on the other side of committing crime. Because we should have a society that's full of grace and forgiveness, but that happens from justice, right? Justice. Our God is a just God, and so that's how we need to be as leaders of government.
I see. Now let's focus on poverty and homelessness. I was reading that even though the level of poverty, has been reduced here in Dallas, it's still above national average.
Yeah.
So tell us how you plan to combat that, and why we're facing the crisis that we're facing here nationwide in terms of poverty and homelessness.
Yes, well, poverty does breed homelessness, right? Homelessness is a byproduct of an entire system breaking down, at really every level. And that comes from, when I say system, all the way down to the family unit, right? So our family units need to be stronger, which means government gets out of the family, stops doing for people what they can do for themselves. And I actually have a brief time in my resume where I got to be a director of a homeless outreach team in downtown Dallas for a nonprofit. So I get to see the inside of our greatest social problem is homelessness, because it intersects with mental health, with addiction, with poverty, with broken families. It literally is the intersection of everything that's broken down in our society. And so in my opinion, it's not necessarily the government's role to solve homelessness. It's the government's role to coordinate all of the organizations that are working to solve that problem, because there's a faith component there that government doesn't want to touch. And when you've experienced that much trauma and homelessness, right, within 24 hours, a woman will be raped on the streets, right? Just being on the street for a day is traumatic in itself. And then what it took to actually get to that point, all the series of events that had to happen, that's an immense amount of trauma that can't be just given a pill and said, oh, you're depressed and get through this. It's going to take a faith component, right? Just like AA has a faith component, or there's organizations in Dallas like Men of Nehemiah, which help people who are addicted. So it's going to take that. It's not going to be solved overnight. There's also a housing component, a cost component, good jobs, and just a healthy economy. People prosper. And the mental health is under Parkland and in our public health response. We need a system that doesn't keep people, intoxicated on medication, right? So it's complicated, but I definitely have the experience to bring all of that together to get a working solution.
Okay, and one last question. You touched on a topic, very important topic, which is, how the government is increasing in size and also programs that directly have an impact on parental rights. How can you, if you're elected, make sure that, parents have a say over their children's education, sexual education? How can we give parents the rights back and take it away? At the county level, with all these agencies threatening them to take away custody from them. What are your plans for parents' rights, to defend parents' rights?
Yes, and well, the parental rights movement is what got me into this race to begin with, because my parental rights were taken away from me, so I take it very seriously. And the number one thing, the county judge is the top elected official in the county. So one, just on leadership. Two, because it doesn't have a direct impact over the schools per se. But what it does is the county judge defied the governor here in Texas. This time last year, it gave rights to the superintendent to then circumvent my parental rights.
Okay.
So it's not a direct impact on the school system and education, but it's an indirect through proper leadership and proper role of the government. So I'm committed as the Dallas County judge to pull back government and put it in its place where it makes sense, right? We shouldn't be messing with families when we're letting our jails fail in its vital resources and fail inspections and different things. So it's really just about putting government back where it belongs. And that's very small and out of the family.
I see. So can you tell us when the election date will take place and how can we vote for you?
Yes, so this is a county-wide race. So 31 cities, 2.7 million people. Okay, and we can vote for me on November 8th is election day. Early voting starts October 24th.
Okay.
And if you want to find out more information, my website is davis4dallas.com, davis4dallas.com.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. We wish
Thank you.
all the luck. And we hope you get elected and see you soon in the county court.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely.